Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we take the world's most influential ideas, strip away all the excess, and really show you the psychology behind why they work.
Or in some cases, why they shouldn't work, but do.
Exactly. And today we are getting into a legendary and, frankly, profoundly confusing manual for achievement. Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich.
This book is just a monster. It came out during the Great Depression, sold 60 million copies, and basically created the entire modern self-help industry.
Yeah, if you've read Tony Robbins, Dale Carnegie, Robert Kiyosaki, you're reading the descendants of Napoleon Hill.
Right. So our mission today is to filter out the noise, dissect Hill's core ideas, and figure out why, almost a century later, the system is still so psychologically powerful.
And we have to start with the elephant in the room. The huge paradox at the heart of this book.
The author.
The architect of this blueprint for massive success was, by all accounts, a serial con artist.
It's the central tension, Modern research basically confirms it. He was accused of fraud, passing bad checks. I mean, he ran scams his whole life.
And the foundational story of the book, that Andrew Carnegie personally mentored him for 20 years to research success.
Almost certainly a complete fabrication. He just made it up, invented his most famous connection.
So that's the question we're tackling. How can a system from a fraudster be so effective at teaching millions about discipline, ethics, and wealth?
The answer has to be in the architecture of the system itself. So let's unpack it.
Okay, so let's start with his actual steps. He didn't hide his secret. He laid out a really demanding roadmap.
That's right. And Hill's primary insight is that success isn't external. It's not about luck or, market timing. It's entirely about mastering your own mind first.
Conquering the internal game.
Exactly. Getting a handle on the fear, the doubt, the procrastination, all the things that hold us back before we even get started.
So that's the foundation of his first few steps.
Absolutely. Step one is you have to set an extremely specific goal.
Not just, I want to be rich.
No. He insists on a precise dollar amount and the exact date you will have it. You have to write it down, memorize it, post it where you see it every single day.
That hyperspecificity is so different from just general optimism. You're defining a clear objective.
Right. Then step two is brutal honesty. You have to decide what you're willing to sacrifice for that goal because nothing is free.
Okay, and then comes the part that gets a little weird for some people.
Step four, repetition, or what he calls autosuggestion. You have to repeat your goal out loud, like a mantra, when you wake up and before you sleep.
Until you reach a state of, I think he calls it white-hot obsession.
He does, and that language is deliberate. He's saying if your goal isn't an obsession, you're going to fold at the first sign of trouble. It has to burn inside you.
So after you've built that internal fire, the next steps are more about external structure.
Right. You have to find your mastermind team, a group of experts.
Which is a whole principle in itself we need to get into.
It is. Then you acquire specialized knowledge, both on your own and through that team. And this next one is crucial. Okay.
You have to view failure and setbacks as just intermediate steps. They're lessons, not the end of the road.
And the last step.
Step 8 is just continuous self-analysis.
Yeah.
You have to constantly improve to become the kind of leader who deserves that success.
When you lay it all out, his whole philosophy just assumes there are no structural barriers. No class, gender, race.
Which is, we have to say, historically naive. Of course, those barriers are real.
But
here's the nuance. That resulting mental attitude, that no barriers mindset, is probably the correct internal starting point. If you only see yourself as a victim of a system, you give away the very agency Hill insists you must have.
So it's about adopting that posture of responsibility without being blind to the real world. That's a key distinction.
Precisely.
Let's transition to that concept you mentioned, the one that brings the internal work out into the wild. The mastermind principle.
Hill defines the mastermind alliance as two or more people working in, and this is his phrase, perfect harmony for a definite purpose.
Perfect harmony. That sounds difficult. He uses this amazing analogy. He compares it to chemistry. He says water, H2O, needs 2 atoms of hydrogen and 1 of oxygen, and they have to combine in a specific, harmonious way.
Right.
1 atom of each won't work, and if they don't harmonize, you don't get power, you just get chaos.
But that perfect harmony part is the real sticking point, isn't it? I mean, how practical is that for a real team?
That's the challenge. But Hill says without harmony, the energy is thrown into chaos, which is a perfect description of a dysfunctional company or board, right?
Yeah, that's fair.
The benefit of getting it right is that it creates what he calls a third mind, this invisible power. It lets you borrow the education, experience, influence, and even the capital of other people.
And he makes a pretty massive claim about what this can do.
Oh, it's huge. He says you can accomplish in 1 year more than you could accomplish without it in a lifetime.
Wow.
And, the logic holds up. Andrew Carnegie didn't build his empire because he knew the most about steel. He built it by organizing executives who could work in harmony and supply the knowledge he himself lacked.
So the message is, you can't do it alone. You need that synergy. But it only works if the parts fit together without friction.
Harmony is the key. It multiplies achievement.
If you're enjoying these insights into how these foundational ideas about mindset really shape success, make sure you subscribe to Insight to Income.
We turn big ideas into clear, usable lessons so you can act, not just listen.
Subscribers get weekly deep dives that simplify these complex books on money and mindset. It's about building that stronger wealth mindset.
Yeah, just hit that subscribe button. You won't miss a thing.
Okay, let's tackle the part of the book that gives people the most trouble, the metaphysical language.
The infinite intelligence.
Right, he talks about the subconscious mind being the link between the finite mind of man and infinite intelligence. That sounds a lot more like faith than strategy.
It does. But it connects directly to modern psychology through that idea of autosuggestion.
The step 4 mantra.
Exactly. Hill believed repeating that goal was influencing the subconscious mind. All the mental processes happening outside of your conscious awareness.
So does modern science actually back that up? Can just repeating something out loud change how your brain functions?
It can. There's some really clear empirical evidence. One big study looked at a 21-day affirmation intervention. They found statistically significant positive changes in the decision-making styles of adults.
Wait, really? What kind of changes?
Okay, so get this. 65% of the participants showed an increase in rational decision-making. Impulsive decisions went down by 40%.
That's pretty significant.
But this is the most critical part for anyone trying to achieve something big. 50% showed a reduction in avoidant decision-making.
Avoidant, so procrastination.
Yep, putting things off, being afraid to act.
So that repetition, what Hill calls tapping into infinite intelligence, is actually just priming your brain's fast, intuitive System 1 to be less afraid and more aligned with your rational long-term goals.
Exactly that. Practice literally rewires the brain. It makes rational choices feel more intuitive and makes you less likely to avoid the hard work.
Okay, before we summarize, we have to touch on the most sensational concept in the entire book, Hill's mystery of sex transmutation.
The one that makes everyone uncomfortable.
I mean, are we seriously being asked to consider celibacy as a path to genius? What is that about?
Well, the term is definitely jarring today, but what he's talking about is sublimation.
Okay.
He says the desire for sexual expression is the strongest human emotion. His idea is to harness that incredibly intense energy, which is usually scattered, and consciously redirect it toward your major purpose.
So it's not a literal instruction to be celibate, it's a psychological instruction to channel your most powerful internal drive toward your work.
Precisely. It's about achieving a kind of peak emotional focus to elevate your creativity to what he calls genius status.
Okay, so we've explored this whole duality, the questionable author versus the surprisingly robust system. What's the core takeaway here?
At the end of the day, the system's effectiveness really hinges on your commitment. It works because it forces that extreme clarity, and it strips away your internal excuses for not acting. The secret isn't some market trick, it's internal mental discipline.
So let's just boil this all down into 4 core concepts that make the book work.
Okay, first, clarity is power. You have to define your goal down to the dollar and the date. Your mind needs a specific target.
Second, harness synergy. The mastermind is critical. You can't succeed alone. You need that harmonious collaboration.
Third, practice rewires the brain. Autosuggestion or affirmations, they work because that cognitive reinforcement changes your subconscious patterns. It makes you a more rational, less avoidant decision maker.
And the final piece?
Internal posture. You have to adopt the mindset that barriers are conquerable and that failure is just a stepping stone, not a wall.
It is just fascinating that the system is so effective, even though the author himself is so discredited. Which brings us to our final provocative thought for you. Napoleon Hill's own life was pretty much a series of financial failures. Until he actually wrote Think and Grow Rich. He wasn't rich when he started it, or even when he finished it.
He succeeded because he defined the system for himself. The money and the success came after he formulated, articulated, and intensely believed in the framework he was creating.
So what if the real source of wealth isn't just following Hill's steps, but the deep, intense commitment it takes to create and follow your own success framework, and then just executing on it obsessively.
That is a question worth thinking about.
If you found this breakdown helpful, subscribing really helps you learn faster and grow stronger financially. Hit that subscribe button so you never miss our weekly deep dives into books that build your money mindset. We'll see you next time on The Deep Dive.